You're listening to Saturday Morning Media. And now, back to our show. Here we go. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Grantcast. My name is Grant Baciocco. It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for checking out this episode of the Grantcast. And a big shout out to all the Patreon supporters over at Saturday Morning Media's Patreon page, because you truly make this show happen. I probably would not keep doing this show if I didn't have the support of you. So if you want to learn more about the Patreon, stay tuned at the end of the show. The other night, it was a Saturday night. I'm recording this on Monday, July 14th, 2025. And the other night, on Saturday night, actually, it wasn't Saturday night, was it? No, I think it was Sunday night. I was standing here at my computer. I have a standing desk. Yes, I'm one of those types. And I was standing here at my computer, and I was just working on sort of busy work stuff. Like, I think I was entering in some stuff that I had typed elsewhere and putting it into the computer and doing that. And I had opened up YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube. Probably one of the primary sources of watching video is on YouTube. It's probably my biggest streaming service, I would say. I do pay for YouTube Premium, but if you pay for YouTube Premium, you can put that on 5 accounts. And since I have 3 or 4 different main YouTube accounts, it's worth it. And then, oh my gosh, my dad was sending me YouTube videos every single day. He would send me YouTube videos, and I went up to visit him, and he was just watching YouTube nonstop. And he was sitting through all the commercials, and I was like, Dad, I am adding you to my last slot on the YouTube Premium. And he said he goes, well, now I'm watching too much YouTube. He goes, the commercials used to dissuade him from watching. And now, anyway, happy to help out if I possibly can. But anyway, my story was I had opened YouTube, and I think it was the Juice Newton song, Love's Been a Little Bit Hard on Me. I think that's the Juice Newton song. The video for that. And so I clicked that, and I was listening to it as I was doing the sort of data entry stuff. And then when it got to the end of that song, it went to another video, and it was like, I think the Go-Go's Head Over Heels. And then it just started going down this path of 80s music. And I had a fan. I have a fan next to my desk. I have the fan going. It was kind of late in the evening, and I got what I would call sort of a Saturday night feeling. And when I was a kid, my parents were friends with this other couple, Dave and Margie, and they had 2 kids, Jeff and Joel. And we would go over. Jeff was a little bit older than me. Joel was a little bit younger than me. And then my brother would go over as well, but my brother was younger than kind of all of us, because my brother was 8 years, he still is 8 years younger than me. As much as he's tried to catch up, he's still 8 years behind me. And so we would go over there, and this must have been around 86 or, well, maybe a little bit later, 86, 87, something like that. And we would go over there pretty regularly. They would come over to our house. We would go over to their house. I would say at least once a month or once every other month. And we would have dinner, and we would just hang out and play. They would chat. I think sometimes they played cards, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I just remember going over there, and I remember that Dave and Margie were one of the first people to have MTV and to have, cable. And we didn't get it until a little bit later. I think I was in 8th grade maybe when we got cable. But anyway, they had cable, and they had MTV, and they had it hooked up in such a way that the TV didn't have to be on. They could just have the MTV back in the days when they played music videos playing through the stereo. And I remember Margie specifically saying, like, oh, I will just listen to it this way. And then if there's a video I want to watch, I'll just run and turn on the TV, and then the TV's on to that channel. But I always thought that was really cool. And I kind of got that feeling as I was playing this playlist. It wasn't even a playlist. These just random algorithm served up 80s songs from the 80s. And I don't know, for some reason it brought me back to that time. That story went crazy, but it does lead into this other story. I went to the dentist. My battles with my dental hygienist are well recorded, and I will not go into those again. But what I will say is that I like my dentist. I go to the dentist every 6 months, like you should. And the thing I like about the dentist is he's very friendly. He's a nice guy. He always remembers that I'm a puppeteer. And so he's always very interested that somebody could make a living that way, I guess. And so he's always asking me about it. But what I always notice is that in the dentist office, he always has some sort of radio station on that is playing 70s music. So I guess now it would be considered an oldie station, but it's 70s music. So it's like Summer Breeze, Meatloaf, I Would Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that. Faithfully by Journey. I think there was, Eagles, The Long Run was in there. Fleetwood Mac. And like, this is music that I grew up on, but it's not my favorite kind of music necessarily. There's some of those songs that I really can't stand. None of the ones that I just mentioned, but some songs from that era I really can't stand. So anyway, but you're trapped in the chair, you're listening to it, and then all of a sudden I heard this thing and I go, wait a minute, that sounds like the piano opening of the song Right Now by Van Halen. Why is that being played on this channel? That came out when I was in high school, which is like the early 90s. This is Sammy Hagar Van Halen. Why are they playing that? And then as soon as it was over, like it went right into Fleetwood Mac. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not somebody who made this playlist or whatever this is, because this is not correct. You cannot lump in Sammy Hagar Van Halen with Meatloaf and Faithfully by Journey and Eagles, The Long Run, and Fleetwood. You just can't. It's not from the same era. I mean, it's a great song. I am one of those people who prefers Sammy Hagar Van Halen to David Lee. I love them both, but I got to give the edge to Sammy Hagar because that's when I was really getting into finding my own way in music, and that was my music. So I know Carla Ulbrich and I fight about this all the time. But anyway, I was very upset that Van Halen's Right Now was in this playlist, because it wasn't a radio station. There was nobody like, and now and it wasn't like Sirius XM. So whoever made this playlist, you got to do a little tweaking and editing, because that is not correct placement for Right Now by Van Halen. Well, I wanted to wrap up by talking a little bit about music. I don't think this is going to be a big, long thing, but Dr. Demento has announced his retirement. And if you know me, you know what a huge influence on my life Dr. Demento was and is still to this day. And it was sad to read, but it's also, he's been doing it for 55 years. If anyone deserves a break, it's Dr. Demento. And so just, it was an honor to be a tiny, tiny little sliver part of his show. And I just thank him for introducing me to comedy people who who've become major heroes and I've gotten to meet and work with in some cases. And it would not have happened if I hadn't had read his name on the back of Weird Al's liner notes for his first 2 albums, and then finding out that his show was on the air in San Francisco, and then sneaking my Walkman into bed the summer of, I believe, 1984, 1985, the week of July 4th, and hearing Stan Freberg's signing of the Declaration of Independence from the history of the United States on Dr. Demento's show. And it's sad that the show is ending, but there is a huge catalog of shows that I've never heard that are available at drdemento.com. I am a proud subscriber and supporter of drdemento.com and will continue to do so. And can I just say, right now, Dr. Demento is doing these every other week retrospectives, doing a 2-hour show about 5 years of his career. And he finished the 70s. Last week was the first episode of the 80s. And then this weekend will be, in between, they've been playing shows from that era. So they'll play a show from that era of the 80s. And then a week from this week, this will all be, by the time this comes out, it'll be long over. But anyway, the things I'm saying. And then he's going to do the second half of the 80s, and then do the 90s, and then 200s, and then 210s, and then the 2020s. And they've just been so fascinating to hear and so amazing to listen to. And if you are interested, I would check out these retrospective shows because he's playing things that he's never played before. He talked about how Steve Martin's King Tut was so huge on his show. Like it was number one for week after week after week in the 70s. And he never got to interview Steve Martin on the show, but he worked for Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers asked him to write an article about Steve Martin. And so he talked to him on the phone, and he played that audio, and that audio has never been heard before. And it was just really cool to hear Steve Martin go, "Oh yeah, I love what you're doing. You're amazing. Thank you, so much for doing what you're doing." So very, 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 very cool. And you can go to drdemento.com, DRDEMENTO.com. And you can buy the shows individually, or you can buy a subscription. I recommend the subscription because there's stuff I listen to all the time. But big thank you to Dr. Demento. Dr. Demento is awesome. I would not be who I am today if it weren't for the good doctor. And I have been honored to have my stuff played on that show and be invited to Dr. Demento events and such things. And he's just a great guy, and thank you for everything, Dr. Demento. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Grantcast. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back soon with another episode. I hope you are doing well, and I will talk to you soon. This episode of the Grantcast was made possible by the Saturday Morning Media Patreon patrons who've gone to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up a pledge for as little as $1 a month. Patrons at the behind-the-scenes level and above get access to a video of the recording of these podcast episodes. They can see what I'm doing right now. Big shout-out to all of our patrons, and a special shout-out to our patron producers, Eve Cunning, Kathy Crawford, Tony Urbano, Brandy, David Akers, Paul, Scott Armstrong, Ricky Chavez, and Lee Thompson. If you'd like to become a patron and receive commercial-free episodes of the Grantcast before they are released, visit patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media today and set up your monthly pledge. And thank you for your support. This episode of the Grantcast is copyright 2025 Saturday Morning Media, Grant Baciocco, executive producer, all rights reserved. www.saturdaymorningmedia.com.
You've been listening to Saturday Morning Media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.